Go adjourn. Okay. At 6:06, I will open tonight's meeting of the Capital Planning Committee of Thursday, December 21st, 2023 at the Ritter Building Lower Conference Room. In accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised this meeting is being recorded and will be broadcast over the Lunenburg Public Access channel at a future date. And it will be uploaded to the Lunenburg Access YouTube channel within 24 hours after the conclusion of the meeting. If you wish to join this remotely using a computer, tablet, or phone, you can do so using the Zoom app. Tonight's webinar ID is 829-4336-3464. And if you don't have any of those devices but want to listen in by phone, you can do so by dialing 888-475-4499. And once again, the webinar ID is 829-4336-3464. The posted agenda, revised agenda will be discussed at the meeting and are those reasonably anticipated by the chair. Votes may be taken as a result of these discussions. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by the open meeting law. Open tonight's meeting and ask if there's any public comment from the committee members. Seeing none, is there any public comment from the public? Mr. Bernard, hold on, let me unmute you. You are unmuted.
All right, can you hear me fine?
We can.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair, for letting me speak. I just wanted, Bill Bernard, the DPW director, just wanted to make a last minute pitch for my number one priority on my list of capital plans, the front end loader. Just want to tell you a little story. Monday it rained like crazy. We were running around with the backhoe and we ended up losing a pin on the backhoe bucket. So the bucket was broken. And then we had a bunch of trees come down with wires. So Unitil fixed the wires and they called us, said, now you can come get the trees. So we were going to use the loader to push the trees off the road on Tuesday. But Tuesday, the loader was undergoing scheduled repairs. It was getting new rims. The rims had worn out to the point where the rubber would spin on the rim and we were losing air. We were blowing the tires up every day. So the loader was out of service and we had a backhoe with a broken bucket, which we had to run out and push trees with. So would have been a good day to have a second loader. So like I said, just the last minute pitch to see if you'll reconsider bumping the loader up on your list. Thank you.
I know that we received an email from the town manager today, very late in the day, about an hour ago. And I don't know, since we have you online, I know that I want to give the committee members an opportunity. So can you hang on while we see if there's any other public comment? I want you to speak during public comments, obviously part of the meat of the agenda. So if you can hold on to the agenda, that would be great. And we'll start with you. Is that okay, Bill?
That works.
Thank you. Any other public comment from the public? Seeing none. Okay, so the meat of our agenda, of course, is to review and vote on the final rank of the capital planning request for FY25. We had our meeting on Tuesday nights. The attending members all reviewed those and we had a good discussion about some of the items and saw what the list looked like. Tonight we have a full board and we have the full rankings, and then there were some adjustments that members made to their rankings that are included in the spreadsheet that in a second. I want to come back to our DPW director, Bill Bernard, and ask anybody from the committee if they have any questions about the email that was sent or any other questions about his, about the front loader request, which is his highest priority. I'll just forward the opportunity here.
Yeah, I have a few questions.
Sure, Mr. Beautiful.
Hey, Bill.
No,
Hey, thanks for joining. I know you know that I've thus far been relatively, actually completely unswayed by this request. And you know, with all due respect to you and the town manager, I don't think it's necessarily fair to me or any other member of the committee to receive an email at 5:05 on a Thursday before Christmas, when we have to get this done before Christmas to consider this additional information. And I'm just being really upfront with you here. That's problematic to me. When I read and I appreciate the work that was done on the dump truck stuff. Again, because of when it came in, I haven't really got a chance to absorb it, but we asked for it and I appreciate you doing that work. And I will read it, I will absorb it, and I will probably send you some additional questions or comments
sure.
on that. The way the email was written and what you just described to me in terms of the timeline for this week are a little bit different, but suffice it to say, we had an unexpected issue with the backhoe, which I understand it's also a fairly old piece of equipment. I think it's probably 10-ish years old. And we have simultaneously an issue which is a 13-year-old piece of equipment that, you know, I think we've gone through this in terms of, you know, before you got here, it came out as this would be an eventual replacement. Over the course of the last couple of months, it's been proposed as a new primary. The old one stays, it becomes a backup. When the old one is no longer viable, goes, or excuse me, we buy another one. So over the course of the next 5 years, we're not going to spend $275,000 on a loader and maintain it and man it. We're going to spend $275,000 on 2 loaders, maintain 2 loaders, and man 2 loaders, which is a substantial change from the DPW over the course of the last couple of years, and alarming from my perspective. Given that we've done a pretty good job at making our roads with 1 loader, you know, for my lifetime. My question, and I do have a question, is about maintenance. So there, and this is, you know, not a line of questioning that I think you've encountered before from me. I don't know if this has come up with the finance committee in the last year, but during my term on the finance committee, we asked several times about how, you know, regular maintenance of equipment. Do we have a centralized computer system that maintains these records, both in terms of preventative maintenance checks and services, as well as break fix kind of stuff? And the answer, to paraphrase, is we have the greatest mechanic in the world and he's doing maintenance. And we never get a straight answer about record keeping and maintenance on this equipment. So before I get to a specific question about the loader, are we following those records to inform us to prevent things like tires falling off of loader wheels and those kinds of things?
Right. The mechanic does maintain a computer system. I did ask him to pull the records for the loader so you could have them. Unfortunately, his computer is rather old and it got full of bugs, so it was kind of down for a while. And then, of course, he's out sick. So I couldn't get you the records, but we do maintain records of maintenance.
Okay. I don't know what the proper decorum is on this, but you know, I think from a capital planning perspective, I'm not sure that that's a satisfactory answer given the history here in terms of how accessible the records are and what those records, how those records are used to inform decisions in any department, let alone the DPW, because we're also, you know, your guy is also servicing fire trucks and police cars, I believe. Specific to the loader, can you maybe help me out here? And I'm not a mechanic, and I worked in a motor pool for a year when I was in the Army, so I kind of like, that's the extent of my knowledge here. But when rims are, you know, worn to the extent that the wheels cannot keep air in the wheels of a loader, and scheduled maintenance is for the 19th, based on what you just said. No, I'm sorry. This would have been the Tuesday of this week, right? So the 18th of December, when it's prone to snow. Is this something that, number one, should have been scheduled for, number two, in the event that we did have scheduled maintenance, should we have arranged for a backup, you know, using commercial loaders that, you know, happen to be in town?
Right. Well, we were looking at different options on the rims. We're looking at possibly taking them off and you know, sandblasting them, powder coating in them. You know, we were kind of back and forth on how to make the repair. We got a couple of opinions, and the opinion was, yeah, replace them is the best way to go. When we swapped out the tires on Tuesday, the guy said, yeah, it was time to replace them. Why didn't we do it sooner? It always comes down to money, right? It's where do you spend your money? We only have so much, so yeah, we thought we could get more life out of it. It wasn't happening, so we had to pull the trigger on it.
Okay, so we were changing the tires, or we were rotating the tires, or what were we doing on Tuesday?
The steel rims themselves were in bad condition. The rubber tires were fairly new, so we didn't have to replace those, but you have to take them off and, you know, put them onto the new rims. We had
Okay.
Pete's Tire Barn come in and do that for us.
You keep freezing, by the way, so you're intermittently freezing on the Zoom.
I know, on my end too, sorry.
Okay. I know you haven't been here very long, Bill, but has there ever been a time when the loader and backhoe were down on the same day in Lunenburg?
Since I've been here, no.
It just strikes me as,
Mhm.
you know, given the conversation that we had on Tuesday, that on the very same day this happened. I don't know what to mean.
I don't know exactly what you're saying. I think I know what you're saying, but I can't believe you're actually
Right.
implying.
I'm not intentionally implying anything. I just, number one, either this kind of thing has occurred in the past and the issues have not been raised, or this is just a once in a lifetime, you know, like it's, you know, I'm finding the whole thing to be just perplexing, and I don't mean to imply anything. It's just, given the scenario and the conversation that's occurred here over the last 2 months, it's.
Any other?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I mean, it's the middle of December. It's usually when we get snow, and now we're scheduling to redo tires on a piece of equipment that's primarily used during the snow season. I just struggle with the entire plan. Again, as I said last time, we have the storm water cleaning as a lower priority than a second loader, and meanwhile, Page Street's about to dump into my yard and become unpassable because we're not cleaning our stormwater systems, and we don't have the equipment for it, but we want a second loader. 8,000 hours isn't a lot on a loader. You know, they run 10 to 20,000 hours, so and I just don't get it. I don't understand the overall strategy for what this fleet should look like. And when we're rotating them out. And I think given the fact that in the spring, we plan to look at long-term plans and that sort of thing. I'm not inclined to change my vote up on this one. And as I said last week, I put the infrastructure projects high because there's crumbling and it's affecting town residents. The town is affecting its residents with its poor infrastructure right now. My neighbor's driveway, had a huge divot at the end of it because of this storm, because we're not maintaining our drains and other things, so, and another plow's not gonna do that. I've had trees on my road I finally moved them myself, so I don't know. I don't buy this argument of we need it for moving trees. We have chainsaws and we can move things manually. So I have not been swayed that we need a second loader in the fleet. Yeah,
Bill, George Martin, I have a couple of questions. We always seem to reference what other towns are doing when we sort of hedge on making decisions. Are you aware of, like, some of the other towns around us as to how many loaders they may have?
Well, recently I was at the Townsend DPW, which they have about the same amount of road miles as us, about the same size highway crew. They have 2 big loaders and a skid steer loader. And coincidentally, the guy from Pete's Tire that was working on our loader, he asked, well, where's your second loader? It could help, lift the tires. And we said, we don't have one. He says, what do you mean you don't have one? Every town around here has one, when he named off Ashby and Ashburnham. And so, oh, sorry, we don't have a second one.
So wait, you cut out again, and just so people hear, because I didn't even hear, which ones that you have 2 loads?
I know definitively Townsend. I've heard
Okay.
from the tire guy, Ashby and Ashburnham.
Okay, and so I wasn't here when you did your initial presentation. Just if you can quickly, can you just be like, how many years have you been in a position like you have, and based on your experience, where you want to go from where we're at today? I don't even want to go back to 3 years ago. Can you just kind of like help me out with your experience and explain a little bit better why you think we need a second loader?
Okay, so I've been the DPW director here in Lunenburg for 19 months. And previously I worked for 30 years at Mass DOT. Mass DOT, I wasn't in charge of equipment at that point, but they did have a loader in every maintenance depot, so they have multiple loaders. Why do I think we need a second loader here in Lunenburg? Basically for breakdowns, we need coverage. It's not that easy to rent a loader, and it's rather expensive to rent a loader, upwards to $5,000 a month. We definitely could use it during snow season. We need one in the yard, the loading truck, so we could have one on the road pushing snow. And we always help out with the schools. The parking lots are big. They have small equipment there, so we're always sending a loader over there to push back snow. What else? A lot of other departments in town have grown, right? The fire department's grown, the police department's grown. DPW hasn't really grown much, but yeah, we get a lot of demands. There's a lot of work to be done. So I think it's time to grow the department a little bit and modernize the department.
You're
Thank
good?
you, yeah.
Matt, did you have any questions?
I don't have any questions at this time, no. My opinion is somewhat different from my colleagues, but I think I'm convinced we do need a second loader. I'm not, but I really want to wrap my mind around it personally. I think more in the next, when we're doing the long-term capital plan, after the new year, to kind of get to get a better understanding of where everything is, of maintenance costs, of how all of this would slot into an overall strategy, which I am very interested in understanding. But I am fairly, I am probably an easy mark for being convinced at this point that we do need a second loader, because I think I am there. But I need to understand how it all fits together to make sure I trust my own gut on this one.
I think that's fair. You know, not a question, but another comment, Bill. I hope you interpret my comments to be, and I apologize if they came across that way. I think that the DPW should grow and modernize, right? But as we have conversations, for example, about, you know, drainage and stormwater and those kinds of things, you know, what comes to mind is, what are we doing there? We just, you know, we've just funded 4 heavy dump trucks with plows. We, you know, and we do have doctors and chapter lanes of a front end loader that, you know, is basically used to plow their parking lot. And they are available, you know, if you call them. I'm 100% sure of it. But we haven't had a conversation about a vacuum truck in Lunenburg, and I'm curious if we need one, you know, like those kinds of things. And I do think that those are conversations that we can have in the spring, and I will at least mind on this. But I think we've got to be thinking about these things.
But Bill, just to round it out, because if you probably didn't listen to, and I don't blame you, our Tuesday, Monday meeting, we're not real, crowd drawers. But I was very adamant, I was very adamant about that this should have been elevated. I did put forward that I am of the belief that, as I said in the past, on several select board meetings over the years, that we hire professionals, and to trust in professionals. I am not a DPW director, nor do I play one on TV, and I'm not gonna play one now here. And, you know, it's certainly, the loaders, the heavy trucks that you know, my colleague says that we bought, were not a gift to the DPW. They were replacements for trucks that were way over age and broken. So these were not expansions of the fleet by any regard. They were just replacements of existing things. I don't know the last time actually the fleet was grown, and that's going a while back probably. So I know that you put that first. I'm not here to second guess whether or not. I also offered on Monday in support of the town manager, listen, if we do buy this one, when the other one comes up for renewal, you could decide, hey, was it worth having 2 in the 2 or 3 year overlap before the other one would need to be replaced? And that would be a good time to say, no, we don't really need to. So I'm of the 5 members, I'm the one who placed it highest. Other my colleagues put it, you know, they're all over. There was people who put it in the middle, and there are people who put it at the bottom. So I think overall, I think it lands at maybe, I don't know, I have to look, I think like 18 or 20.
20.4.
No, not the average score.
23.
When we do the score, 23.
Oh,
yeah.
So it's 23rd out of 35. So it's below half. So I am in concurrence with you and the town manager and some of my other colleagues. Obviously, you know, we have a process here and we have a scoring system. So coming on and explaining that, and we will be revisiting with you in the winter, in the new year, when we undertake our longer term plan to prepare us for next year's seasonal capital requests. And we also don't know how much how much capital funding we have from town manager. That will be her decision when she makes the preliminary budget and where the numbers come in at that point, so.
All right, so what I'm hearing is you want to see more of a plan for me, so I'd like to sit down with maybe some of the members to see what that plan would look like. What
Sure.
they're expecting.
Okay, we can do that.
Good.
Well, you're more than welcome to stay if you want, but I thank you for coming and explaining a little more and, you know, explain why it was the priority was for you.
All right, you're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, so let's share this. And all right, so this on the screen. Here. On the, no, but if they wants to see it too.
I just want to mention one thing. And I can understand how it gets confusing the way we input stuff.
Yeah.
George had 222s.
I did?
Yeah, and then you don't have it, so then you count it down to only 34.
22, does he have, which one number is he missing, a 23? No,
Well, then he goes
which-
23 through 34.
I know, but which number is he missing? If he has two of one, he's missing one.
35.
Yeah, he's missing 30.
Okay. This is what I was hoping we would avoid, so
I
that's.
actually sorted it before I sent it.
Yeah, you've got the school dump truck and the primary school AC at the same.
All right, we're gonna do this. This is it. This is how the sausage came people at home. Okay. So which one of the 22s is 22 and which is 23? And then I gotta go and bump everything up. So is the district, the school dump truck with a plow 22? Or is the classroom AC units the real 22?
The classroom AC is 22.
All right, so the dump truck is 23. So now we have to go through. That's 23 and 23. 4.
I only had to like quintuple check. my
4,
numbers, so.
25,
It's mind-boggling what you actually have to go through to,
Yeah,
25 is 20,
I have like 4 additional
26.
you know, like columns, like
26 is
based on how I
27,
classify things, you know. Green, yellow, red,
27,
like
28. 28 is 29, is 30. 30 is 30. 1. 31. 32. 32. 32. 32. 34.
Really? I only have 1.2 on that.
All right,
that one.
all right, that's corrected.
Sorry.
That's okay. So, let's sort by the ranking here. There we go. This is the ranking.
Can you minimize on the screen, the Zoom?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
I don't know that it changed anything.
So the public safety. The systems on top, townwide key and card access is still number 2. The K9 cruiser for the police is still number 3. The Turkey Elementary School ADA study for renovations and assessment and schematic design is 4. The replacement traffic vehicle for the police is number 5. Security, library security, 6. Northfield Culvert to Kelly's Pond. 7. Turkey Elementary School installation, window safety film, 8. Security cameras at town, upgrades at town buildings, 9. Wallace Park, 10. Police Milo advanced simulation system training. And the drainage swales at 181 Reservoir Road. School dump truck with plow. The DPW garage, cemetery expansion. DPW partial roof replacement, air compressor and accessories, McNally Park. I should take this opportunity, by the way, to say that we did get some emails, all of us. I just want, I'm not gonna read them, but I'm gonna say for public record, we got an email. 3 emails. For half an hour before this meeting from 3 different residents supporting the McNally Field project. So, again, I won't read each one of them, but they all say similar things about the importance of it and how with the design at Marshall Park and the project that T-Ball won't have a designated field. And so I would say for the record that they supplied us with emails to everybody. Did everybody get those?
I got 2 of them.
2 of the 3.
Yeah. I got TJ's and Greg's.
You didn't get, you should have got James Doherty's as well. Yep, you were on the list.
Maybe I need to refresh.
Greg, yeah. And TJ, yeah. So I won't go beyond that. That's like the halfway point at McNally Park, turf fields. Okay, when I saw it, it takes out the rooms. That's why. Roads.
But I did do it.
Again, I will open it up to the committee, if anybody has anything. We've already talked about the front loader, and we talked about it very much on Monday night. I don't know if you were able to watch the Monday event.
I was not, no, unfortunately.
Okay, so, I don't know if anybody has any other discussion points about things that they.
So unfortunately, every time this gets updated, I lose access, which is a whole other issue. Can you see the line numbers on the left here so that I can just get an idea of what the actual rankings are?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Rather than having.
That was like saying it goes when they're not coming over with, I don't know if it's something in my layout here.
I think it's the. If it's showing on,
It doesn't show on the screen.
Or pull the window to the right of it. Oh, it doesn't show at all.
Right,
Oh, okay.
it's not showing the row numbers, and I don't know if something.
You got somebody in the way too.
Yeah,
Okay.
Just so I can see that.
We look like we have double the attendance because everybody who's here, right, logs out, like, I don't understand. Not gonna show, does anybody, I'm not an Excel expert here.
Nor am I. It's okay.
View. Let's see if we have the page. I want to do it on the screen, so it's like here, and it's all. I just want to show the row numbers.
You can insert a column, what today. Just do one,
what I would do.
that's what I have done.
Every time I make a spreadsheet, I always have the leftmost column be UID
Yeah.
and then just make it a linear cut, so I can always resort back to original.
Thing to view. Check box for room number. One.
This does give us room numbers, it's not.
There we go, yeah, just. Hello? You had it a second ago.
Yeah, view page layout, it's otherwise maybe not super convenient, but it did give us row numbers.
Yeah, basically just +1 or -1.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
So it looks like it's a decent mix of fire, facilities, police. Schools, police, IT, DPW. Schools, IT, facilities and parks, police, DPW, schools, so kind of spreads out all over. Well, DPW things are really projects and not,
Yeah,
I mean,
it's a different.
not a,
How we
not
classify
really a
these-
capital item.
How we classify these is not really indicative of,
It's, yeah, because it's a broader thing than just capital.
Yeah.
In fact, those things are anti-capital. Let me entertain any discussion in any regard here.
I don't think it changes my opinion about the order. But it just kind of stinks that that our high priority items, so many are so dang expensive.
Yeah, well,
I mean, it's life, but. It's something the influence where I put the front end loader was looking at that and going, yeah, I think I see the argument we need it, but if we put it off one more year, that's 3 to 8 other projects or other things that can happen.
Yep.
And look at it, 300K, 200K, 100K, 300K, for the first ones, I mean.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah, you're right. It's expensive, there's no doubt, we're spending big money right at the top of that list.
it's a lot of money to run a town.
I guess that's why I look forward to our long-term capital plan, because I don't know how far we're gonna get into this list.
Well, the requests for the total requests were not outrageously, and they weren't actually, they were probably less than they have been on total requests of other years.
Oh,
Yeah.
I should clarify, I do not mean that as a slash at the request coming in to imply for a second that they're unreasonable.
No, what I'm saying is that the total amount of requests, the amount of, the aggregate total of all the requests is not different than any other year. So, you know, if it's an average year, we're gonna get at least halfway through this list. And if you look at the scores, they were all bunching up at about, kind of at the 20 mark, at the 19 mark, starting with the turf field. The next 5 are like within a point of each other. So, you know, it's not like they're outrageously, the only thing, I mean, the clear winner. Sorry, the clear first is the highest priority was on everybody. I mean, that would say the top ones were very clear across everybody's.
Yeah, so if you do a running total of cost,
Yeah, which is the
Item
column I
thir-
forgot to add, sorry.
yeah, item 13, row 14, number 13th on the list, district dump truck. Puts you at 1,500,000.
Yeah,
You go down to Lunenburg Designer Service Playground Equipment, you're at 1,980,000, so that's like your $2 million mark.
Right, and so what is the halfway point? What is it at if we include the air compressor and accessories, that's like the halfway.
Air compressor gets you to 1,700,000.
Yeah, so that gets you about halfway.
and that's in the ballpark of where we've been.
Right.
Weird budget year again, but.
Yeah, I mean, I think the two that I've been lobbied most on are, and it's maybe the crowd I hang out with.
Hold on, I gotta put my Creston hat on, let me get.
Well, is the Marshall Pond treatment one. The Marshall Pond treatment one, because it is the permit. They wanted to get going with it. We lose the permit at the end of the year. It is part of a broader plan that's been well kind of thought out and presented, so. If there was any lobbying for any of them, I think that was the one that really, I've heard some lobbying for.
I actually raised my.
I saw that, yeah.
And you know. And part of it is, it's gonna fall off the list probably this year. You know, may not make the cut, and it'll be on the list next year, it may not make the cut, they're important.
We lose a permit, though, is the problem.
Right.
What's the significance of the permit?
$5,000. Well, actually, might be more, because these are engineers, are the ones taking it right now. We got 2 for the price of 1. They're the and work.
Yeah. When I was renting, I did not fully consider that the permit was expiring. I was thinking about the timeliness. I wasn't actually thinking about the permit expiring, which isn't big money, but it's money and work.
And the other one was Whalen Lake, is that the?
Yeah, they're both
beach,
together.
yeah.
So we've hired a company to pull the. So then we're not going to do it process wise.
Yeah, I understand.
Mr. Chair, can I ask a quick question?
You may, Mr. Passios.
Do you remember that just brought up the expiration? He said the end of the year. Is this end of 2023 or end of 2024? If the permit's already been pulled, it's gonna be expired before July 1 anyway.
No, it's usually a 2-year permit. So it'll be.
So when is the expiration date?
Probably. Well,
Go ahead, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
it's a well-educated problem, we could say the past years, if you may. It was funded last year, so this is 1 year will be by July of next year, the next year, that will be, if it was taken right on July 1st.
So this was funded out of the capital plan item that we approved for the current fiscal
Yeah.
year?
So it's been,
So. We just got,
yeah,
and they're usually good for 2 years,
it's 2 years.
so then it's not So then it's July of 2025 that it's gonna expire.
Which is the beginning
Beginning
of
of
the
fiscal
fiscal year.
year, yeah, I mean, it depends on when it was, I guess. Yeah, but, okay, I get it.
No, hold on a second, no.
Yeah, Tom, it would, because
It would expire July of 2025, which would be the start of fiscal 26.
Yes,
So it doesn't affect this decision.
Yeah,
yeah,
How?
because this is FY 25, so
Right.
we go and do this. It becomes if it expires on July 1st or July 30th, if the work is done in July, I don't know, but it could potentially affect it.
No,
Next
what I'm
year,
saying, is that we still have a special town meeting.
If we do it-
to be approved.
if-
You could do it at special time.
And we can even do it at the annual if we're ready to go. It's like, if we have everything ready to go and it gets approved.
Yeah.
The May town meeting would be completed and you still have 2 months to do it. May, you have June and, well, 1 month.
I mean, the work got done in July on this year's budget, so, right, yeah.
What I'm saying is that it's not expiring this year. This coming year, not 24 it's expiring, it's expiring in 25. Calendar year 20. So,
And then the other one similar or two is the 2 cemetery items. I still think like there's a cemetery commission that put thought into those. I don't know how much went into the new stone wall, and I don't agree with that one, but for the other one, the enhancements and the headstone restoration, I think. I think they're part of Public Works, but the DPW director is worried about equipment and, maintaining roads and sort of about, the cemetery's concerns as much maybe.
well, they do have one at 16. I mean, the cemetery expansion, I think they was listed pretty high that they were gonna run out of plots.
Yeah,
In my mind, I think the cemetery expansion. Given where it is and given the number that I put on it. I could see moving that up. The problem is we're above it,
Right.
like. DPW garage floors, which I rank even lower because I don't see an imminent problem there, right? Like the floors are deteriorating, but it's not like we're not gonna be able to use the garage next year. Whereas we're gonna run out of plots in the cemetery in the next few years. So I guess that's my very poor logic there. I don't put it above the district dump truck and plow, like that's a real legit old truck that we gotta replace.
Yeah, I rank that, as you can tell, very, very high. I think I would love to see from a historical and a preservation point of view, I'd love to see that headstone restoration, but it just happened. Yeah, I have I turn to other things that it's competing against and what affects the most people in the most way, I guess, that's one of the things.
yeah, I think the other thing with respect to cemeteries is if they can go after grants and get a little bit better on understanding, maybe that strengthens a position in the future.
I would agree with you.
I was having very similar thoughts and trying to wrap my mind around the words.
Yeah. I just think somehow in this process, nation cemetery parks, some of the elected boards and commissions just kind of need their own say towards the ranking, not just aligned with the department they happen to be most closely aligned to.
Well, I hear what you're saying, but I mean, to me, I'm judging the item, like where it's originating from, or what department put it under its umbrellas. For me, at least, not particularly relevant. I just judge the project on all of them, so.
Okay, well, that's good. Then we can kind of say that just because it's a director's number 1 item, it carries the same weight as their number 9. But we've kind of used that argument that, well, this is the director's number 1 argument, therefore it should almost automatically be funded.
Well, I mean, I have not always used that in the past, I'll just use my own argument, I'm using that as because again, from a capital facilities of what he needs to run his department, it's the only equipment, and as a capital plan, even though it includes projects that have to do with drainage and everything, that doesn't help his department, like that is gonna, like, the Reservoir Road one is going to help correct a problem, but it doesn't help him run his department. We have to do that for other reasons, but it's not something to better the DPW department.
I think that there's a lot of gray area when we get into this topic, right? Like when fire department, police department, schools. Those three functions are the capital plan, the capital requests are predominantly specialized to those use areas.
Sure.
Right? Now, you could even argue like schools, we do a lot of
I would
security,
put DPW on there, because these are heavily equipment.
but the DPW thing are also carrying infrastructure that sits outside of DPW is the point I'm trying to make, right? So whereas schools, it's all in the schools, right? There's some security related things that, but they're in the schools.
Yep.
Things like facilities and parks, public works, and information technology are spread across multiple departments. And I think that there's advantages and disadvantages for those departments depending upon how you look at it, right? Like, we've got town buildings and parks, like, you know, keying and cameras and those kinds of things that are gonna benefit police and fire. You know, so it's just very difficult to say we could create a new classification that would make it clearer, because I'm not sure we could.
Well, I'm, listen, there's, you know, there's a lot of different angles and perspectives you can evaluate it. I mean, that's why it's not just a simple formula, otherwise we would not need people, we would use a column score and then we'd be done, but
Yeah.
we don't believe that, because there's lots of different ways of looking at it. So, yeah, I mean, I hear all that.
And you know, my approach is similar to yours. I think, you know, we disagree on a lot, but you have to kind of take them one at a time, you know,
Right.
I
mean, I look to ones that have to do with security, protection of property. You know, things like that are of utmost importance. And which will bring back to just one comment on the loader. So everybody is very, if you go to neighboring towns, we said, we talked about before the meeting started that social media, like nobody's active on Facebook, but when we talk about roads, everybody's active on Facebook about how good the roads are and how well they're done in Lunenburg. And that is largely attributed to the pavement management plan and projects that are put in place, and that incredible work that the DPW and the crew does. Penalize them. I don't want to penalize them by saying they do a great job with the equipment they have, therefore they don't need other equipment, because I think that sends the wrong message. Now, I don't think you reward people with just, okay, get all the equipment you want, but I would note that I can't remember a time when we increased their fleet. When it comes to fire, when it comes to police, we have increased the number of vehicles in those departments, and DPW has remained. And that's why I kind of make that pitch. If that reputation goes down and we're not doing a great thing of job, it's hard to turn around to me than it is to maintain it. And I'd rather just maintain it. Not that I'm not going to change anybody's mind. I feel is pretty much set, but
We've also dodged a bullet the past few winters. It doesn't snow.
no, but we get these kind of rains, which is probably what.
Last couple of years, because, you know, a lot of people weren't stranded at home, but that could change next week.
Well, but you know what? We don't get snow as much when it's stuff good.
Right, right.
But we get lots of ice
Yeah.
because of that, because it's always around the freezing point, and
Yeah, and all
and that's even harder to clear. Snow is a lot easier to clear.
Yeah, whenever we get ice, my house is out of power for 3 days.
Well, that
It's
doesn't.
not.
The loader ain't gonna fix that
Right,
problem.
right.
I can tell you a 6-letter word you should.
Yeah,
use that
I
quickly
know,
too.
I know. I'd have to go to church for confession.
I think if I just look through from my own perspective, there's a couple that, you know, if you look at just top 20 or maybe even top 17, 18 midpoint. I'm fairly well aligned, maybe not in the exact right, but you know, it's
Yeah, I would agree with you, Chris, and I think with that one exception of the DPW, the single item, I think that I was not surprised by where these ranked, especially when we got the fifth voting. I mean, so I'm comfortable that we've done a good job evaluating, a good job discussing them, and you know what? I could put the one item at a place, even though I think it's an important one, and you know, and other people don't. I
Yeah.
think 1 out of 35. I can certainly live with that.
And then Peter and I shared some time on finance with several DPW directors kind of going through there. And we've had a lot of discussions on track lists and all sorts of equipment that came through there. And again, I think it comes down to if we can lay down a solid plan, then I think I can rally around it to the same level that I rally around the police and the fire and parks and that kind of thing. So
Sure.
yeah, IT, and I think IT had a really good plan this year.
Mhm.
And maybe there is an awesome plan. I didn't, it wasn't presented that way yet. So let's get to that.
Before we take a final vote, I will open it up for any public comment on any of this before we vote.
From 181 Reservoir Road. I just wanted to say that I can't believe that the DPW doesn't have an air compressor and accessories. I have a jackhammer and a compressor that can operate it. So it just is amazing to me. And I actually offered to use it to remove the berm at the top of the hill. I would have taken great pleasure in that. So that just seems comical to me almost. That we don't have
I think that if you saw the DPW director expressed the same thing.
Yes.
Because again, he's still going through, first of all, just getting settled in the job, but as he's going forward here, he thought the same thing.
And then I'd just like to say, that I would like to thank the committee. I actually like when there's a lot of debate, so that the committee.
Well, this is the committee for you then. Actually, it's been a very, I want to thank in advance of the close of tonight's meeting, I really want to thank the committee members, because I think it really was a good discussion on many of the presentations and post-presentations. So I thank everybody for doing that and bring their opinions forward and doing it respectfully and hearing differing opinions, so. Any other public comment otherwise? Okay, so if there's no other discussion on these items, I would entertain a motion on the final that was presented once we corrected the duplication in Georgia School.
You'll circulate that again.
I will circulate that again, yes.
Can that just get us so moved, or do we need,
Yeah.
okay, so moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? None. It is unanimous. I will send this to the town manager. And just have a few more housekeeping items. So we have the approval of minutes of November 20th, November 29th, and December 4th. So unless there's people who have corrections, edits, or anything, I want to push those through.
If everyone's good with all of them, I'd make a motion to approve that.
Okay,
Seconded?
any further discussion on that? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye, opposed, none.
Abstain on that.
Okay,
I'm not in.
that's 4-0-1, okay. Action items for next meeting, well, we're gonna determine when we're gonna start and I'll have to say at some point it's not urgent, and we also be cognizant that it will be the heart of budget season. So, but, probably sometime end of January, or mid-January, I'll send out saying whatever the schedule is, and we'll start doing that. And then we can, and at that first meeting, we'll discuss how do we want to formulate, because we're going into an area we haven't done before, which is looking at a 5-year projection plan.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I wanted to throw in, having told people that we're actually going to do some capital planning on the capital planning committee, not just capital ranking. That has meant, now, the discussion has mostly been with other people who are well in touch with town government. Wow, are they all for it? People are just super happy to hear that we're looking ahead. So I just wanted to share that feedback I've received on multiple avenues. That we had this idea, we're going forward, and people think it's beneficial.
Which is great. We'll see how they feel when we're done.
Yeah.
Or have made the attempt anyway, not necessarily done, but we'll see how they feel.
Well, it's never, and, it's gonna be, I'm assuming. It's like getting in a new car, well, this time we'll always say new boat, it's like, okay, you gotta really get your sea legs about how how you're gonna,
Yeah.
Power this, how you make it go in the right direction, so. It'll be bumpy, but it will be. Right here.
That's not good.
So yeah, I'm glad we're excited, and we'll see let's see if we can keep the excitement going. So those action items for next meeting will be that, and when they're gonna be, we don't know, but will be posted. I'm glad we got it done before Christmas last year. It was between Christmas and New Year's, which really was under the wire, was not fun, so this was, thank you, everybody, for being able to pull this out.
It raises an issue that, I'm wondering if perhaps before next year. The finance committee might want to take a look at together with the town manager, which is the calendar. And, exactly what and why. The end of the year, why we're precipitating having to have this ranking in by the end of the year. And I understand that there's some. Requirements around preliminary budgets and fiscal forecasts. The capital plan as it has historically over the last several years been presented in the fiscal forecast is a look at the next several years as items have been submitted by departments and projecting the delta in funding between those submissions and the requests. But the actual work of this committee hasn't really been directly affected the fiscal forecast. And then the preliminary budget, which the town manager does present, and this was the nature of my questioning with the town manager at our last meeting. The capital plan is presented, I guess, there's an initial capital plan presented in January, but over years past, that order has potentially changed, and the funding for that capital plan, we usually don't land on until, I believe, late February or March. So I understand that it's probably better to front load this anyway. I'm sure there's plenty of good arguments for this, but we're sitting here the Thursday before Christmas and our second meeting this week, and I don't know, I'm just having a hard time getting my head around.
No, we can look at the requirements.
I can answer that.
Okay.
That's a charter requirement as far as when the capital plan has to be presented.
Okay.
So you could
they-
start earlier in the fiscal year, so you wouldn't have to meet in December. But
Thank you. Yes. I didn't realize you had stealthily joined us.
Yeah, sometimes the whole schedule working up through budget season is difficult too, because like schools is the last one we tend to review as a finance committee and it's so much of the budget. So that feedback loop gets difficult on that one. So I agree. I think, I understand it's in the charter, but we could change the charter too. What's the most efficient use of everyone's time?
All right, that's fair, and I'll go back and look at the provision in the charter, because it's been a while since been at least a year since I looked at that language.
I thought it was
And
hanging
if it's in the
wall.
charter, we need a charter review. You can't,
Next to the
you
declaration.
can't just have you can't just have an article to change the charter. You need a charter review committee that should change the charter, so. Because there are other people who want to change things. All right, any final public comment from the public? Final public comment from the committee. All right, I want to thank you all for again participating in another fruitful discussion. Sometimes, well, it was never heated, so, but certainly a meeting of different opinions, which is good, is nobody can accuse us, if you look at those rankings, that you all guys are of the same mind, that certainly wasn't true. But I thank you for being able to close everything on time, and to all those listening, I want to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holiday, and a Happy New Year. Be safe, healthy, and prosperous. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, none. Good night, everyone. See you in 2024.